To the November 27th, 2019 regular meeting of the City of Troy Planning Commission. Copies of the agenda for tonight's meeting are available at the entrance of the room. Agendas and minutes of prior meetings are available on the city website. The meeting will be conducted in accordance with the agenda as presented or amended by the Planning Commission. State law establishes planning commissions. This Planning Commission is comprised of 9 residents appointed to serve their community. Members are appointed by the mayor and confirmed by City Council. Other individuals participating in the meeting include representatives of the city's planning department, City Attorney's Office, and the city's planning consultant, Carlisle Wortman Associates. They're not here, are they? Okay.
They're not, no.
Okay, we'll just strike that last part. If you wish to address the Planning Commission, please come forward to the podium when recognized and provide your name and address on the sign-in sheet. Please begin your remarks by stating your name for the benefit of the commissioners. All remarks are to be addressed to the Planning Commission, not to anyone else in the room. If you have a cell phone or other device that might disrupt the meeting, please either switch it to silent mode or turn it off, which I'm doing. At this time, I ask the Planning Commission Secretary to give us the roll call.
Mr. Aphidian?
Here.
Ms. Cruz? Mr. Faison? Ms. Fowler? Mr. Hudson?
Here.
Mr. Krent?
Here.
Mr. Lambert?
Here.
Mr. Rahman?
Here.
Mr. Tagle?
Here.
Okay, the next item is approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion to approve? Mr. Tagle, second. Mr. Aphidian, roll call, please.
Mr. Hudson?
Yes.
Mr. Krent?
Yes.
Mr. Lambert?
Yes.
Mr. Rahman?
Yes.
Mr. Tagle?
Yes.
Mr. Aphidian?
Yes. Okay, the next item is public comment for items not on tonight's agenda. So is there anyone in the audience that wishes to make a comment to the Planning Commission that is not on our agenda? Seeing none, we'll move on to the next item. This is a public hearing.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Did you do the approval of the minutes?
Did we have a roll call? Sorry. Thank you for catching that.
It was Mr. Lambert who caught it.
Appreciate it.
I'll move.
Okay. Did we? Everyone blew right by it. Okay, approval of the minutes. Mr. Lambert, second by Mr. Hudson. Roll call, please.
Mr. Hudson?
Yes.
Mr. Krent?
Yes.
Mr. Lambert?
Yes.
Mr. Rahman?
Yes.
Mr. Tagle?
Yes.
Mr. Aphidian?
Yes. And now we'll go on to item 5. This is a public hearing for special use and preliminary site plan review. File number SU JPLN 2019-0033, proposed Bethesda Romanian Pentecostal Church addition north of Long Lake, east of John R., south of Tucker, 2075 East Long Lake, Section 12, currently zoned R1C, One Family Residential District. Mr. Senator.
Yes. So,
Do you want me to explain the situation to the...
well, I think first there's some history with this item, and the not to put Mr. Aphidian on the spot here, but I guess I will. The last time that we considered this item, Mr. Aphidian announced the fact that he was a former member of the Bethesda and recused himself from the meeting. And I just wanted him to provide Mr. Aphidian with an opportunity to discuss his relationship with the church and bring it forward to the Planning Commission.
So, once again, full disclosure, I live within 800 feet of the church.
Okay.
That's the disclosure. I disclosed that last time. And once again, I'm disclosing that. Again, I looked at the conflict of interest issue that the council discussed even at the last meeting, and I have no conflict of interest with this project because there is no financial interest. I have no financial interest in this project. there is nothing, there's just my proximity. We've had projects on this board that were even closer to where I live in the past 5 years, and all of you are aware, I mean, part of our ethics is to really render decisions based on facts, based on the information that's presented. I've done that with professionalism in the past 5 years, so I'd like to leave it up to the board for their decision, once again, as we did in the past.
Can we get basically a count from the commission as far as, do you think Mr. Apahidian should be recused or not? No? No? No problem?
No.
No problem?
Does the public have any input?
No.
I'm good.
No. Okay, that said,
Do we want to take a formal vote, Mr. Frain, or is that a consensus good enough?
I think we have a consensus.
Okay.
okay. Mr. Apahidian remains on the commission for this item. Next part of this item is we don't have a full commission in attendance tonight, and want to ask the petitioner if he would like to have his case brought today or postponed for a full commission.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Jamal John Hamoud appearing on behalf of the church. I'm their legal counsel today. I received a phone call from Mr. Savadant earlier letting me know that there would only be 6 members here today and potentially only 5. But we, I think under the circumstances, I think it would make more sense to have a full board here to be able to hear all the information, get all the facts, and be prepared for a full decision from the full board if that's acceptable to the board. But I hate putting things off. We would love to move the project forward, but I think in the interest of getting full participation, I think that makes sense.
Mr. Chairman, just for the information of those who are in attendance or watching on the cable feed, the special use applications require an affirmative vote of 5 members of the Planning Commission. So with only 6 members present, the margin of error is obviously one vote. We look at reasonableness and fairness, and so it's up to the Planning Commission to make a determination if this is fair and reasonable of a request on behalf of the petitioner.
As far as I'm concerned, it's fair and reasonable. Request from the petitioner to postpone. Everybody agree with that?
Yep.
We have agreement on that. But we do have it is a public hearing, so we'll continue with the public hearing section, and we will continue with your project and the public hearing at a future date.
Makes good sense. Thank you.
So for those in attendance for the public hearing, I'm going to read our basic rules. A public hearing is an opportunity for residents to share their comments on a specific project with the Planning Commission. Everyone in attendance who wishes to speak will be provided that opportunity. We appreciate everyone who came out tonight to share their thoughts with the Planning Commission. Your comments are important. Before I open the public hearing, it is important to get some ground rules, to set some ground rules so that it can be an effective and efficient public hearing. Please begin your comments by stating your name and address for the public record. Please address all comments to the Planning Commission. Please be respectful of the Planning Commission, the staff and consultant, the applicants, and those in the audience. This is an opportunity for residents to provide comment. It is not a discussion or debate. Additionally, this is a formal public meeting that should be handled with decorum and professionalism. So we ask that those in attendance refrain from talking, clapping, cheering during the meeting. Finally, all comments in the public hearing this evening should relate to the item under consideration, and each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes. Do we have anyone in the audience that wishes to speak on this item? I see none. So we will continue the public hearing at a future date when we re-examine this particular item. Okay, we're going to go right on to...
So, Mr. Chairman, I think we should postpone this to a specific date.
Okay.
So those in attendance will know what that date is. The public record will reflect what the date is, and we will not have to re-advertise in the newspaper and via mailings.
Very good. What,
The next available date would be December 10th.
do we check with the applicant to see if they can make that date?
We can do so right now, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. We need an answer. If you could, provide it.
Absolutely. The December 10th date is acceptable to the applicant.
Then
Thank
we
you.
will continue with this item on December 10th, 2019. Do we need a motion to postpone?
Yes.
Okay, do I have a motion from the commission to postpone? Mr. Rahman? Seconded by Mr. Tagle. Vote, please, Ms. Sarnicki, when you have a moment there.
Mr. Hudson?
Yes.
Mr. Krant?
Yes.
Mr. Lambert?
Yes.
Mr. Rahman?
Yes.
Mr. Tagle?
Yes.
Mr. Aphidian?
Okay. We'll move on to the next item. It's also a public hearing, special use and preliminary site plan review. SP JPLN 2019-0036, proposed Horizon Bank site improvements, west side of Crooks, south of Big Beaver, 2555 Crooks, section 29, currently zoned O Office District. Mr. Savadan.
Yes, my co-pilot is in Ireland right now as we speak. So I'm sure he's watching online though. So I'm confident of that. So thank you, Mr. Chairman. This proposal this evening is for a drive-up ATM and a drop box, because they are proposing to add a drive lane to provide access to the ATM and the drop box. By our zoning ordinance, it's considered a drive-through. So it's therefore a special use is required for that, for the ATM and the drop box, which is why this is a public hearing and why we're before you this evening. Had they not required or proposed the ATM and the drop box, this would have been administrative approval, because they're using an office as an office, and it's very minor in scale. So they are using, as I indicated, an existing office building. The zoning is O office, and the offices are permitted by right, as I mentioned, but drive-throughs require special use approval. The site is located on the west side of Crooks between Big Beaver and Kurtz. The proposed drive-through aisle is proposed for the south and east sides of the building. To add the lane, it'll require the removal of 9 parking spaces, but there's already an overabundance of parking, so the parking situation, it will still be compliant. Landscaping is compliant. There'll actually be more trees on the site when they're finished than there are today, so that'll be an improvement in terms of landscaping. Lighting is compliant, with the exception that they did not provide cut sheets for the fixtures, and we would request that they provide those prior to final approval. These are the elevations. You see, this is the south side of the building. You see a sketch showing where the ATM and the drop box are to be located. On the north side of the building is the shared access drive to the property. This is the south side of the building, and really little impact on neighboring properties. This is what one would see driving down Crooks Road. It's the east elevation, the front facade of the building as it relates to Crooks, and this is where the drive aisle will wrap around the building. So it's very simple in scale and scope in terms of an application, and my presentation really reflects the simplicity of this application. So we recommend approval for the special use and the preliminary site plan, subject to the applicant providing fixture cut sheets prior to final site plan approval. Thank you.
Okay. Any questions for our staff? Seeing none, could the applicant please come up and let us hear about your project?
My name is Chris Bryack. I'm an architect with Whiteman & Associates. I'm here with Jim Jacksa. Jim is the project manager from Horizon Bank. The project, we're going to renovate the building and place a Horizon Bank in the building, and to have a bank, we really need to have a drive-through. The inside of the bank won't be a traditional bank. It's more of a loan office such as that. So we're going to remove a lot of the existing landscaping and improve it, add the drive-through, improve the pavement around the building, and then add new lighting. Currently, the existing lighting is mostly non-existent in the back of the building. There's a couple of large lights that go towards the back, but they're off the building, so they cause glare on the neighboring building. So we're going to put pole lights that shine down with cutoff fixtures. It's important for a bank to have a secure lit site. So for the most part, that is the project. It's a very simple request for a drive-through special use.
Any questions to the applicant from our commission? Okay.
Chairman?
Yep.
Just one quick question. Is the whole building going to be used by the bank, or are you going to sublet some of it?
The lower level on the front side will be used for the bank. It's a little bit more than 25% of the building, and some of the existing tenants will remain in the bank.
Thank you.
I've got a quick question. Is the ground sign out front going to be moved or not for the drive?
A new sign will be located, and I don't have the information on where we plan on locating it, but another application will be put in for the sign. Okay. And I think it's already been applied for, hasn't it? It's already in the process of being approved at the city, as I understand.
Okay. Any other questions for the applicant? Seeing none, I'm going to ask to open the public hearing. So if anyone in the audience wishes to speak on this item from the public, please come forward, state your name and address. I see none. So I'll close the public hearing and bring it back to the commission. Any thoughts, guys?
Tom, you usually move these resolutions.
Yeah, I know. I was just waiting for you, Mr. Hudson, to focus on your page. It's
Well,
fine.
okay, just I'll be right with you.
Yeah. Okay.
Resolved that special use approval and preliminary site plan approval for the proposed Horizon Bank site improvements, including ATM drive-through, the west side of Crooks, south of Big Beaver, parentheses 2555 Crooks, in parentheses section 29, currently zoned O for office district, be granted.
Do we have any lighting?
Thank you. Subject to the providing lighting fixture cut sheets on the plan set prior to the final site plan approval.
Do we have a second? Mr. Rahman? The vote, please, Ms. Arnicke?
Mr. Hudson?
Yes.
Mr. Krant?
Yes.
Mr. Lambert?
Yes.
Mr. Rahman?
Yes.
Mr. Tagle?
Yes.
Mr. Aphidian?
Yes.
We'll move on to the next item. It's public comment for items that are on the current agenda. Anyone from the audience wishing to express a comment for items that are on tonight's agenda? Seeing,
Mr. Chairman?
yes.
This isn't directly related to that, but we kind of accidentally passed over the first public comment. I know I kind of threw you off base there by bringing it up, so I don't know whether you want to do
Yeah,
a
go right
public
ahead.
comment on both items not on the agenda and on the agenda, so.
Go right ahead.
Well, it's up to you.
Yes. Go ahead.
Oh, just opening up public comment.
Oh,
for
Talking
both
about number
items, so,
4,
yeah.
we never established that there
Yeah.
wasn't anyone.
Oh, I didn't see anyone, but I guess I should have said there was no one.
I would
Okay.
wonder if Mr. Stratt would like to say anything.
Anything on the current agenda, Mr. Stratt? Tom? Okay. I know you're a neighbor of one of the, yeah, okay.
Meanwhile, your
All right.
concern was, and I didn't want to bring it up while we were here, it's very narrow. If the car does get stuck in there, you better have a tow truck ready to pull it up. Other than that, I think it's great.
Okay. I won't ask you to come with the microphone, but would you please sign in, and since you did make a comment, and put your address, please. Hate to do that to you, Tom, but it's just part of the procedure. You were in this seat a while ago, I'm sure you understand.
I certainly will do Very professional, especially this guy over here. He actually is a speaker at, with architects, I understand.
Yeah. He agreed to a harebrained idea that another architect pitched to him and spoke to a bunch of architects about 6 months ago. There was Mr. Strack, could you explain the session that I spoke at? It was a lot of fun. That was at Lawrence Tech for I believe for continuing education credits, and there was discussion on the building code and as it relates to the zoning ordinance, and I had an opportunity to speak to a room full of architects, and it was a lot of fun.
And that kind of is a nice segue right into the Planning Commission comments. So I guess I'll start with Mr. Rahman. Any comments? No. Mr. Apahedian? Mr. Hudson? John?
Nope. Just one. This is a kind of a follow-up to Commissioner Hudson's comments at the last meeting about being able to state a reason, why you voted a certain way on a resolution, and I'm wondering if, I'm used to it in other public bodies, you would state your reasoning before the actual vote goes, and I'm wondering if in the future, maybe whoever's chairing the meeting would give an opportunity to say, does anybody here want to state the reason why they're voting yes or no on the resolution rather than doing it after the fact, so that's a
Can I make a
suggestion.
suggestion? Even under Robert's rules, when a resolution is moved and seconded before a vote is taken, usually the chairman asks for discussion on that motion. Maybe that would be a good place to do that.
Is that okay with everyone? Sounds like it is.
I have nothing, thank you.
A couple things. One, I didn't mean to put Mr. Apahedian on the spot, but I just felt it was important to be fully transparent, and thank you, Mr. Apahedian, for doing so. I just, for controversial items, it's very important for the public record to accurately reflect, the position of a board member. If there's a perceived, not necessarily from this board, but perceived from the public to be a conflict of interest, and it was important that we explain that. Secondly, having 3 absent members, it's very closely related to the Thanksgiving holiday, and I was just looking at the calendar for 2020, and there's going to be similar timing on the second November meeting in 2020, so I think I don't like the optics of this. I think it's asking a lot for residents to come and attend a public hearing, and then the public hearing, they're not taking action on that item, and I think it's a bad look, and we don't want to do that to residents. So I think in 2020, maybe we don't have the second meeting in November. Just something to think about.
Understandable. The only comment I have to make tonight is I hope everyone, pardon? Anything else? I hope everyone enjoys their Thanksgiving dinner and have friendly conversations with friends and family. This meeting is adjourned.